Folks, buckle up, because the US and China are locked in a trade war. This isn't just a minor disagreement or a simple spat over trade policies. No, this is a full-scale economic battle that has far-reaching implications for the global economy. This ain't no friendly competition, it's a full-blown economic showdown. We're talking about two of the world's largest economies going head-to-head, each trying to outmaneuver the other. The stakes couldn't be higher. We're talking billions, if not trillions, of dollars at stake. The ripple effects of this trade war are being felt across the globe, affecting everything from stock markets to supply chains. You see, the US has some beef with China. It's not just about trade deficits or tariffs, it's about a whole range of issues that have been building up over the years. They accuse China of stealing intellectual property, manipulating its currency, and forcing American companies to hand over their trade secrets just to do business there. These are serious allegations that have fueled the fire of this trade conflict. Basically, the US thinks China's playing dirty. They believe that China's actions are not just unfair but also harmful to the global economic order. Now, these tensions didn't just pop up overnight. They've been simmering for years, with both sides harboring grievances and suspicions. They've been simmering for years. The roots of this conflict go deep, tracing back to the early days of China's economic rise and its growing influence on the world stage. But things really came to a head in 2018 when Trump slapped tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. This was a bold move aimed at addressing what the US saw as unfair trade practices. China, not one to back down from a fight, retaliated with tariffs of its own. They targeted American goods, escalating the conflict and making it clear that they were ready to stand their ground. And just like that, we were off to the races, folks. The trade war was on, and it quickly became a tit-for-tat battle, with each side imposing new tariffs and countermeasures. A full-blown trade war was underway, and nobody knew how it would end. The uncertainty created by this conflict has had a profound impact on global markets, businesses, and consumers. Companies have had to navigate a complex and ever-changing landscape, while consumers have faced higher prices and limited choices. The trade war has also disrupted global supply chains, forcing businesses to rethink their strategies and adapt to new realities. Economic analysts have been closely monitoring the situation, trying to predict the long-term consequences of this unprecedented conflict. Despite the tensions, there have been efforts to resolve the trade war through diplomacy. High-level meetings between US and Chinese officials have taken place, with both sides seeking to find common ground and reach a mutually beneficial agreement. The outcome of this trade war will have significant implications for the global economy. It will shape the future of international trade, influence economic growth projections, and potentially lead to new trade agreements that could redefine the global economic landscape. As we look to the future, the hope is that the US and China can find a way to move past their differences and work together for the greater good. Economic cooperation between these two giants is crucial for global stability and prosperity. The world is watching closely, hoping for a resolution that will bring stability and growth. The stakes are high, but with continued dialogue and cooperation, there is hope for a brighter economic future for all. Now let's be clear. China isn't exactly an angel in all of this. Their trade practices have been under scrutiny for quite some time, and for good reason. They've got some questionable trade practices, no doubt about it. From manipulating currency to imposing unfair tariffs, the list goes on. For years, they've been accused of playing fast and loose with intellectual property rights. This isn't just a minor issue, it's a significant concern for businesses worldwide. Think of it this way. Imagine spending years developing a groundbreaking new technology, only to have China swoop in, copy it, and start selling it as their own. This kind of intellectual property theft can be devastating for companies that rely on innovation to stay competitive. Not cool, right? It's not just about losing money. It's about losing the edge that comes from being an innovator. And then there's the issue of forced technology transfer. The US says China forces American companies to hand over their precious technological secrets just to do business in China. This isn't a voluntary exchange. It's a coercive practice that puts American companies at a significant disadvantage. It's like going to a poker game and being told you have to show your opponents your cards before you can play. Imagine the frustration and the sense of unfairness that comes with such a demand. Not exactly a level playing field, is it? This kind of environment makes it incredibly difficult for American companies to compete fairly. The scales are tipped and not in their favor. But it doesn't stop there. China's state-owned enterprises receive massive subsidies. allowing them to undercut foreign competitors on price. This practice distorts the market and makes it nearly impossible for private companies to compete. These subsidies give Chinese companies an unfair advantage, enabling them to flood international markets with cheaper goods. This not only hurts foreign businesses, but also affects global trade dynamics. The international community has raised concerns about these practices, calling for a more level playing field. However, addressing these issues is easier said than done. Negotiations and trade agreements are complex and often take years to finalize. In the meantime, businesses and economies around the world continue to feel the impact of China's unfair trade practices. The stakes are high, and the consequences are far-reaching. It's a challenging situation that requires a coordinated effort from the international community to address effectively. Only through collaboration and persistent effort can we hope to create a fairer, more balanced global trade environment. The road ahead is long, but it's a journey worth taking for the sake of fair competition and economic stability. Enter Donald Trump, the self-proclaimed tariff man. He promised to get tough on China, and boy did he ever. Trump slapped tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods, from iPhones to soybeans. His logic? Make Chinese goods more expensive, and American consumers will buy American-made products instead. It was a bold move, a risky gamble, but there was a catch. See, those tariffs weren't just paid by China, they were also paid by American businesses and consumers. The price of everything from washing machines to car parts went up. The trade war was starting to hit home, and not everyone was happy about it. Now, you might think China would be reeling from all these tariffs, and sure, they've taken a hit, but China's no dummy. They're playing the long game, folks. While the US was busy slapping on tariffs, China was busy making new friends. They started cozying up to other countries, signing trade deals left and right. It was a classic case of "you can't fire me, I quit." They were diversifying their trade, reducing their reliance on the US market. Section 5. Xi Jinping plays 3D chess, building a new world order. But wait, there's more. Xi Jinping isn't just playing the game, he's redefining the rules. China wasn't just finding new markets, they were building their own darn system. They were creating an entirely new economic framework, one that would challenge the existing global order. They poured money into their Belt and Road Initiative, a colossal undertaking that would reshape the economic landscape of multiple continents. This wasn't just any infrastructure project, it was a massive interconnected web spanning Asia, Africa, and Europe. Think of it as a modern-day Silk Road, but on steroids. This new Silk Road was designed to facilitate trade, investment, and cultural exchange on an unprecedented scale. Connecting China to the rest of the world through roads, railways, and ports, the Belt and Road Initiative was a testament to China's ambition and vision. They were creating a whole new sphere of economic influence, one that would place China at the heart of global trade and commerce. With China at the center, they were redefining the rules of the game. And here's the kicker. They were doing it all while the United States was turning inward, focused on America first. As the US retreated from the global stage, China was stepping up to fill the void. While Trump was busy building walls, focusing on immigration and national security, Xi Jinping was building bridges, both literal and metaphorical. He was forging new alliances, investing in foreign infrastructure, and expanding China's influence far and wide. China wasn't just investing in physical infrastructure, they were also making significant strides in technology and innovation. Chinese tech companies were becoming global leaders, participating in international tech conferences and setting new standards. Additionally, China was investing in human capital, sending students abroad and participating in cultural exchange programs to build soft power. They were also expanding their media presence, ensuring that the Chinese perspective was heard around the world. In global trade negotiations, Chinese diplomats were becoming increasingly influential, shaping policies and agreements to favor their interests. Xi Jinping's vision for a new world order was clear, a multipolar world where China played a central role. He articulated this vision at international forums, including the United Nations, where he called for greater cooperation and mutual respect among nations. The impact of China's strategy was evident in the economic growth of developing countries that benefited from Chinese investments. These countries were experiencing unprecedented development, thanks to the infrastructure and financial support provided by China. As global leaders met and shook hands with Xi Jinping, it became clear that China was no longer just a participant in the global order. They were a leader, shaping the future of international relations and global trade. China's influence extended beyond economics and politics. It was also making its mark on global culture. Chinese cultural festivals were being celebrated around the world, showcasing the richness and diversity of Chinese heritage. In cities around the globe, Chinese investments were transforming skylines and economies. Chinese businesses were thriving in foreign markets, bringing with them innovation, efficiency, and a new way of doing business. As Xi Jinping stood at global summits with world leaders listening intently, it was clear that the New World Order was being built, brick, by China. The future was being shaped, and China was at the forefront, leading the way. Section 6, The Art of the Deal, Chinese Style Undermining U.S. Influence. Now, you might be thinking, isn't this all a bit speculative? Is China really winning the trade war? Well, it's complicated. There are no easy answers in this economic showdown. But one thing's for sure, China's playing the long game. They're thinking decades ahead, while the U.S. can barely seem to agree on next year's budget. And here's the real kicker. By slapping on tariffs, the U.S. might have inadvertently strengthened China's hand. They've forced China to become more self-reliant, to diversify their economy, and to build stronger relationships with other countries. Section 7. America First, More Like America Alone, The Fallout. Meanwhile, back in the good old US of A, the trade war was starting to bite. Farmers were struggling to sell their soybeans, manufacturers were facing higher costs, and consumers were feeling the pinch at the cash register, and all those jobs Trump promised to bring back, well, they didn't exactly materialize. In fact, some studies suggest that the trade war actually cost the US jobs. It turns out that starting a trade war is a bit like throwing a boomerang. You might think you're hurting your opponent, but it has a nasty habit of coming back to hit you in the face. Section 8, The Dragon's Rise, China's Long Game. So, what does the future hold for the US and China? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, China's not going anywhere. They're a rising economic superpower, and they're here to stay. The trade war might have slowed them down a bit, but it's also made them stronger. They're more determined than ever to become the world's leading economic power. And the US? Well, we need to figure out our own strategy. We can't just rely on tariffs and bluster. We need to invest in our own economy, strengthen our alliances, and compete on a global stage. Section 9, The Future of Global Power, A New World Order. The US-China trade war isn't just about tariffs and trade deficits. It's a battle for global dominance, a clash of economic titans, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The world is watching, folks, and the outcome of this economic showdown will shape the global landscape for decades to come. Buckle up, because it's going to be a bumpy ride.